If they take timeout. Okay.
And these are the sounds. We're coming live for part 2 of the Hitting the Hardcourt podcast. Again, it's the opening round March Madness tournament, and Jason's back with me. You know who I am, your favorite host of this podcast. And for a Thursday, it's great to be a basketball fan. Let me tell you that.
Seriously.
Just a quick update so far. We closed the last part of the podcast with myself thinking that that was a high-scoring game, and it was actually the end of the game. So Gonzaga took off by 20 to win their game. The University of Virginia, West Virginia, both completed their games as well. So so far so good for most people, I believe. I don't know, Jason. How's your bracket still holding up?
My bracket's still intact. Hopefully Northwestern can keep that thought, because it's 2-point game with 4:15 to go with Northwestern in favor. But yes, I wouldn't be surprised if Vandy pulled this one off. But I'm really all right, yeah. Northwestern's looking to go about 4 at the line, but yeah, my bracket's still intact.
If you feel that we're a little bit distracted right now, it's because we have this game live in either our living room or in front of our computers or wherever we're watching at. I hope you're watching it too. For an 8-9 game, this is playing out like an 8-9 game, and Northwestern started out not playing like they were a 9 seed. Let me tell you that. I'm sorry, an 8 seed, and this has probably been the other most exciting game. Middle Tennessee, of course, playing on the other end over on TNT, up 81-70 right now, about to close out their game and win. First 12-5 upset. There you go. Did you have Middle Tennessee in this one?
Unfortunately, I don't think I do. I think I kind of went the way of no, you know what? I do. Wait, I'm looking at my bracket. I have Middle Tennessee. I wasn't really sure because Minnesota's guy got hurt, I think maybe toward the end of the year, and he was a big man, and it kind of like their interior defense was going to take a hit. So I kind of have Middle Tennessee looking. Well, the upset's complete, 12-5 over. Middle Tennessee,
12-5 over.
Middle Tennessee keeps my bracket perfect. Wow. And Northwestern is looking a little bit more composed, actually.
With Doug Collins on TV right now, watching his son's team and basically his alma mater, possibly pulling their first win ever in this tournament. Because keep in mind that Northwestern has never been to the NCAA tournament. They've hosted it. They've never been. We'll get back to that later. We want to talk about a little bit further down the line. In fact, we want to talk about those that you have in the big dance overall. So we're talking about the final 2. And my overall winner, of course, I believe I have Duke. Let me double check that, because I could be wrong. I could be very wrong right now, and I would feel very
There's missing bunnies at the rim.
Oh no. Yeah. So I have Duke overall winning it. And we're going to talk about some winners right now.
Cool.
Jason, who do you have as your overall tourney winner?
I got Nova repeating, and I have Nova beating Oregon repeating. That's just
Oregon. That's a very interesting pick. I mean, the Villanova pick is a good pick. I mean, they definitely have the distance, but really, Oregon, you have.
I have in the final score. I have Oregon beating Kentucky, because I don't think the hype behind UNC to me it's pre-hype. I don't see UNC as that good of a team. And those freshmen at Kentucky are only getting better as the season has progressed. So I have them beating UNC to get to the Final Four.
So definitely there's some parity in our group of contenders. We did say that we will bring you an update. We'll bring you that at the end of the show as to the standings. We're just waiting for the end of this Northwestern Vanderbilt game. I have Duke playing against UNC. And I too believe that the hype is only going to take UNC so far. They outside of the ACC, UNC hasn't really been tested as far as their height is concerned. A lot of their big guys can definitely get into some early foul trouble early on against a more veteran team. And so that could be the key difference in between them winning and losing, not only in this tournament, but in the overall for the overall winner. And I believe Duke, just from a coaching perspective, come alive when Coach K is there, having that veteran experience and being in the dance a few times himself. In addition to the fact that a couple of their key leading scorers are not freshmen, they are sophomores and juniors. And so that experience is definitely going to help them not only take them further, but I believe that's going to give them the overall edge and be the overall winner. Again, I have Duke UNC as the final two overall, but you have Oregon and Villanova. I'm just curious to ask, how did you get Oregon through Kentucky? How did you get Oregon even that far? Because Oregon has to get through a couple of pretty decent teams without their big man in the middle. You put them pretty far without a center.
Well, I look at them and I feel like they have most of their team returning, with an exception to their big man going out with, I think was with the ACL. I just feel like in the long and the short, if we're really looking at this from a standpoint of basketball, there's only one coach I can honestly say that gets freshmen up to play, and that's Calipari. When your team, he's playing with a boatload of freshmen who are going to be up to play. I see Oregon out shooting Kansas. I see Oregon out shooting Louisville. I think that I think his name is Josh Jackson for Kansas. I don't think he's going to have a good game, and I think you can contain Frank Mason Jr. Now, if you can contain Frank Mason Jr., then you literally have a cakewalk to the Elite Eight. Better yet, a cakewalk to the Final Four, because I don't see them really coming up against a juggernaut until they get to Kansas. Until they get to Kentucky. And the same thing with Nova. If Nova's biggest test will really be Duke. And I feel like Duke is going to give them all they can handle, but Villanova can pull it out, because then I have Duke meeting Gonzaga in the Final Four on the other side of the bracket. And the only reason I have Gonzaga is because Gonzaga is a really complete team. I give Mark Few a ton of credit for drafting a bunch of recruiting a bunch of bigs we know nothing about. He last year it was Sabonis. This year, I don't know the big man's name now, but he's a lefty and he has a really soft touch. So that's how I have them in the Final Four, and then eventually losing to Nova.
Just a quick update. Vanderbilt went to the line for 3 free throws and made all 3. Now Northwestern is up 159-58 with 2:15 left to go in the second half. And Northwestern just drew a foul against Vanderbilt, going to line for 2. It's 2.5 left to go. So just a quick update. We're going to talk about how many are in our group. We got about 11 entries, give or take. But if we were to split those up, not a huge amount of parity. For some reason, one of our guys, shout out to Mike Cortez for not picking an overall champion. Not sure why he didn't complete his bracket. Wow. Yeah. Well, he probably completed it, but I don't see him having an overall champion.
Right.
Shout out to Paul Fowler, who picked Michigan, continuing with the practice jerseys, possibly going to go on a nice little run themselves.
I think they have a run in them. I really do. I think that Michigan has a run in them.
I completely agree. I have them going pretty deep into the tournament myself, but he picked them as an overall winner. And again, Jason, you mentioned your Villanova as your overall winner. Paul also has a second bracket in there where he picked Arizona to win overall. They're definitely a team that we don't talk enough about, but played in the conference.
I agree. I definitely agree. Their big fella is, I don't remember his last name, number 10. They have 2 7-footers who were in their starting lineup. And I watched the game against Arizona. I'm sorry, Arizona against UCLA. They made UCLA look very average. Their big man, I think he was 9 of 26, but he went for like 34 points. And they made them look really average. And I feel as though that a team like Arizona can get hot, and if their bigs can come to play, you're going to have a hard time beating them because they're deep and they have 2 legit 7-footers, which makes it difficult for you to, I guess, if you can call it, oh wow, Vanderbilt just took the lead, 3-pointer.
Yes.
But I feel like Arizona can make some noise, possibly, against Gonzaga, but I think Gonzaga can take them out just because of the guard play.
We have a minute and a half left to go in the Vanderbilt Northwestern game, and we will bring you an update on the standings overall. But again, definitely I see where you're coming from, and now the game's starting to go back and forth a little bit. With a quick timeout from Vanderbilt, we'll just go ahead and talk about the standings right now. And so far, we have Tucker Pettigrew, who chose UNC as the overall winner, who's got a perfect bracket so far. Then goes myself. Then I'm not sure who Big John is.
Yeah,
that could be Mickey. He chose the University of Kentucky, who you said that would lose against Oregon in the Final Four. So that'll be interesting to see as far as if you two come down to the wire. Then going further down the list, Paul, who's missed a couple of picks, and we'll talk about the UNC Wilmington University of Virginia game, which came down to very close. So it wasn't really a gimme for that game. Minnesota, who just completely lost their game overall. I mean, it's totally understandable if you just picked that game seed wise. You knew nothing about Middle Tennessee. But I think there are 3 games here which could have easily gone either way. Definitely this one that we're watching here is going back and forth, so it's understandable if you pick Vanderbilt or Northwestern. Northwestern, of course, getting into the NCAA tournament based on their body of work from the selection committee. And if you've heard them in the last few days, not just from this podcast, but if you heard them talked about in the last week or so, the son of Doug Collins, ESPN and TNT broadcaster, his son's team completed what was called the Hail Mary pass, full court pass to their big man down the middle, which I cannot recall his name right now, made a last-second shot to win their game overall. And if Northwestern continues to miss free throws like they're doing right now, then they're going to lose their game. But that's breaking down our podcast so far. We'll be back actually after this game through the middle of the second half of today's games. There's probably about 16 or so teams played so far. There's going to be another 16 playing, and we'll be here with those in just a few moments, in just a little bit. Sorry. So we'll come back with that. In fact, if you guys actually don't mind holding on with us, we're just going to go ahead and listen to the sounds of the game so far and continue to chat back and forth. And in fact, it's probably a good time as far as strategy is concerned. Indiana just recently fired their coach, Tom Crean. And for those of you who don't know, Crean definitely the product of improvement over at the University of Indiana, but hasn't broken anywhere past the Sweet 16 in the past few seasons. And a couple of the most notable NBA draft picks from that school, Frank Kaminsky and Buddy Hield. And so I got to ask you, I'm sorry, Kaminsky went to Wisconsin, but point being is that Indiana definitely, it looks like a school that should be going further on the rise. And I got to ask you, Jason, as far as coaches on a hot seat, do you think that Indiana made the right move as far as having Crean out and trying to bring in some new blood?
Having Crean fired, it may be a good move for them because he kind of brought them back to the national spotlight in a sense. No, they're not. It's not the days of Victor Oladipo or even Yogi Ferrell, but
Yeah.
he's kind of giving them a little bit of life. But I think that they got to find a coach that's going to basically continue the upward trend. I see Washington. Oh wow. Vanderbilt just took the lead with 17 seconds. I see Washington fired Lorenzo Romar. And, with Lorenzo Romar being fired, they're in jeopardy of losing a 5-star prospect. I think his name is Michael Porter Jr. He's currently being coached by former NBA player Brandon Roy. And there's a possibility that Brandon Roy could go get that Washington job, which would be huge. And not getting off topic much, but I think that there's a possibility there may be a need for college basketball to inject a little bit of youth into their coaching. Right here with Northwestern, with Chris Collins, son of Doug Collins. He's a younger coach. Some of the younger coaches can, they can relate, or they're more relatable to the players, which means they may garner their respect just a little bit more. So, I think that it may be a good move for Crean being let go from Indiana.
Do you think Crean would have what we just saw here? If any of you are still tuned live to the Northwestern Vanderbilt game, Vanderbilt just committed an interesting foul, and it's Northwestern ball. Vanderbilt just committed a very interesting foul in the backcourt. And you're looking at the coach in you're looking at the coach of Vanderbilt, and you're wondering what he's calling for, and he calls for a foul to stop the game. And what I want to know is, would you have called for a foul being up one with 14 seconds left to play in the game?
I actually would say no. You kind of got to play that one out. Like when I seen it, you were talking, and I kind of like squinted my eyes, like, why'd you do that one? And I don't know. I mean, that to me, that's March Madness right there for you. That was madness, because I'm not calling that foul. Especially in the backcourt, your guys going to the line is going to shoot. They're up one. You're up one, but you're going to give them an opportunity to tie and take the lead. I say no. And it looks like Vanderbilt might get another crack at it with 1.1 on the clock.
Might get another crack at it with this call. I honestly think that a more experienced coach for Vanderbilt would have made the same call that you made, Jason. I definitely would have allowed that to play out a bit. It looked like Northwestern didn't have a set play yet. They were still trying to figure out what their play was supposed to be. And then you come back and you have a gut shot three. You don't have rebounders in there, so why take that type of shot?
Right.
And if anything happens in this game as to the reason why Northwestern won this game, it's going to be all thanks to Vanderbilt's inexperience. But definitely, I wouldn't have taken a foul, and then behind that, not have a complete clear play drawn up and take a gut shot three for everyone to just automatically collapse on. I think there was this expectation that, I can hit the shot, coach, or let me go ahead and take us to the next round. Not a great play. And so instead of playing this weekend, they're probably going to be going home unless there's a miracle steal by Vanderbilt. Refs still deliberating about whose ball it is. I believe they've given it to possession Northwestern.
Yeah, it looks like Northwestern just got the ball. But, 1.4 on the clock, I'm feeling like it has to be if it's not a quick foul, it's a steal, and in the same motion you got to shoot it, because this is a timeout.
1.4 left to go.
That was a horrible call for their coach to actually ask him to foul. I understand that it's 17 seconds and the shot clock is turned off, but as the coach, I make my team defend. I believe in my team's defense.
That's exactly it. I think that if you're Vanderbilt, you're up one, you let it live. You play hard defense, and then you force Northwestern into a bad shot. You get them out of their rhythm. You make them try to draw contact, because definitely the refs aren't going to give it to them. Northwestern just missed another free throw. I would put rebounders on the line right now if I were Chris Collins.
Miss it on purpose. Oh, or he didn't.
Don't miss it on purpose. There you go. And all right, 1 of 2 free throws made. Northwestern.
Oh, wow.
Full court heave. And Northwestern has officially won its first ever NCAA game.
That's a great sight.
History has been made. We'll get back to the second half of this. Hopefully, all of you have tuned in. Thanks for tuning in so far. We'll be back for possibly part 3 and 4 later on today. I am your host, JT. JD down on the other end of California. We'll be tuning in with you guys and we'll let you know how our brackets are doing. Okay.